sorry, we'll make up tomorrow. Tell me everything you know I wanna hear. I'm trying to be open, but that window is closing. And either way, I need to make it clear before we're leaving here. Before we're leaving here. I know it ain't easy, but there's something left to hold on to. We can work it through, you don't have to go. There's a future here with me. We'll find the light in a clouded room. Not giving up until you know. You tell me that you're sorry, we'll make up tomorrow. Tell me everything you know I wanna hear. I'm trying to be open, but that window is closing. And either way, I need to make it clear before we're leaving here. Either way, I need to make it clear before we're leaving here.
And shalom, everyone. Shalom. I want to welcome everyone here into the house of the Lost Sheep of Israel. I'm Elder Michael Johnson, the senior pastor over here, and today we're going to be going through a personal look at the journey, the parable actually being revealed, and you're going to find out a lot of things that why I also tell you we need to meditate on what's going on in here. And before we get started, I do have a couple of announcements and a couple of statements based on this past week and what people been thinking about and some of the conversation that I had. And one of them is on that Pelosi who went and visited China, Taiwan. Makes no sense. But I also want to tell you, and some people wanted to know my stance on it, and I'm going to let you know what my stance is before we move forward. One, I think it was a truly stupid thing that she did, because that place is actually part of China. It's the same thing as if China tried to come over here on any land that belongs to us, and we decide to get upset with them, or I guarantee you, we'll be in war right now. So the same thing is, we're going to have a lot of people who will sit there and think everything, but Pelosi only really went there because the president, that was the first woman president over there in Taiwan. She can tell you anything else, but that's why she went. That's the actual reason she went there. And the main thing is, you're going to have many people going to die behind that, and you're going to think people dying behind what was right. And you dying behind a woman standing up for a woman first president in that country. So just to let you know that. And the other one is this past week, and here in California, down in LA, not too far from my daughter and my son, it was a bad accident done by this lady. And the lady name is I had her name earlier. I'm trying to remember what this woman's name is, which I'm gonna have it in 1 second, because I'm gonna actually pull it up. But I do want you to understand exactly where I stand, because many people have many different opinions on this, and everybody has an opinion. But I want people really to truly understand the point on what this woman did. I believe her name is Nicole, if I'm not mistaken. I'm thinking I'm gonna go through this right here. And what this woman did is she got drunk and was driving down La Brea at a high speed, and she killed more than 5 people. And her name is Linton. It is actually Linton, Nicole Linton, if I got that correct. And basically what we have to look at is a person who willfully gotten drunk, willfully got in a car that you can turn a vehicle to get you from one location to another. You can use it as a weapon of war, meaning you can use it as a weapon to kill people, which happened in this case here. The same as a person can go buy a gun to go shoot and train and to have a sport, but that gun can also be used to kill people. Same as this car. And when we was talking, people were saying, well, what are your thoughts on that? How do you feel about it? One, all drunkards should be stoned, meaning all drunkards who do things like that, they should have a death penalty. I'm 100% in favor of a death penalty. Most people, it shocks people because most people have come from a Christian standpoint. But the thing is, this person willfully got in her car. She willfully got in her car, knew she was drunk, and willfully killed some people. And the only thing she gonna tell people, she's sorry. That's it. But she willfully got drunk. But the thing is, people and people like Christians, they want to automatically forgive, and then they go up and hug her and all these things. But no matter what, when they do that, they'll do it again. So I want you to keep that in mind. And the same thing is, one, they hitting her with vehicular manslaughter when they should be actually seeking a death penalty. Because they willfully got her, they got the exact person, and the main person that did it, they should take no more than 6 months, and they should be killing this woman because she's a drunkard. And I have no sympathy for drunkards. Drunkards, most people thinking drunkards is okay, but drunkards is some of the worst people walking the face of this earth. And I openly tell you this, and people who know me personally know this is a feeling I always had. Because people willfully get drunk, and then once they willfully get drunk, they'll do things that'll injure other people, and the first thing they want to do is just say, I'm sorry. And they willfully got drunk. So it comes to thing also to the main part. Most people sit there and they think it's weird, but it's not. And the same thing we hear today. We come into Leah, and we come into Rachel. In all this time, most people who really know the style and the way I try to bring you in, sometimes I have to walk around different corners to get you to understand something. Sometimes I start way back, sometimes I start close up. But this here with Rachel and Leah, we've been talking about this for a couple of years. So I present to you with this topic. This topic here, a resurrecting from the dead, that's shown by the children of Jacob. And I showed you this even with the children dressed in black. Most people didn't understand when I was doing that, but it was for a reason I did it. To where we can understand what black was about. Go back, you can look at the video. All I'm going to do is just be hitting on the topic. Do you remember when I talked to you about the different topics that's written in scripture? And many don't forget about the stones that I told you about in black and what Reuben actually represents today. That was the point. That was the point to where if we take the time and we meditate on things and what's going on, we would have actually found some silhouette pictures of this. Same as we look at Simeon and Levi. Have you considered these are some of the two most important pillars in the temple of God? Did you know that? I showed them to you. But most people look at them in a different light. Same you see Judah. Do you recall his stone and what his stone represent? See, what we do, we stand and we comparing everything, or did you compare everything to Joseph or Benjamin? Do you recall the parables and the imagery that I have communicated to you during these previous few months that I really want you to pay attention to? Do you recall any of the things that we did in Zoom when I discussed some private things, even about myself? It's calculated. Trying to get you to a point. Do you recall what happened with Leah? Or do you just remember what happened to things with Rachel? Because this is actually telling you more about yourself. If you focus more on Leah or if you focus more on Rachel, it's going to let you know exactly who you are and what you really are about within yourself. There's no reason for me to sit there even do a poll on it. The thing with this is we cannot alter what happened in the past. It's impossible. But we can have control over what we can do in the future. The expectation that we should have faith in. And if you really want to find out, it's essential to where we can make a conscious decision on what we have to approach in life for our future. And when you look at it that way, I want you to make sure we clearly get something and understand something real good. When you try to make an expected outcome, what you have to do is something what they're called, and most people don't look at it that way, but you'll see it's done in a lot of other ways. It's called a repeated practice. You see it everywhere. It's everywhere. Repeated practice is why you see people will go into buildings every Sunday. It's a repeated practice because they're looking for an expected outcome. It's a repeated practice to where people come here to learn, to get information, because they're trying to practice to get to that same expected outcome. It's a repeated practice. The only way you can reach that level of expertise required by the proper way, and then you can properly master something or what you're doing. So we have to come to this, and we look at this, ultimately become more and more experienced, good or bad. But by the time you have reached that point, you'll comprehend all the many ways that you might be able to apply your ability to your own life once you continue in those repeated practices. So we come to this with Leah and Rachel. That was the point. That was the point of this entire session for the past couple of years. For the past few years, it's repeated practice. Leah and Rachel were sisters. They were born of the same mother and same father. And it was injected in there a merchant man. A merchant man who was injected in this. In merchant man, I want to make sure that we write these things down. And a merchant man is a trafficker of goods and services. That's what that actually means. We need to stay on the same level playing field as we move forward. And I want you to make sure that you clearly get this and understand it as we move through. And one of the main things is with this merchant man, a trafficker of goods and services, we need to make sure we understand it. So I'm going to invite you over. I want you to see something in Matthew chapter 13. But I want to take you over here to verse 2. We're going to look here. We're going to start there. There we are going to start. We're going to find out a lot of interesting things. And with this, we need you to look within yourself also while you take notes. But we're going to start right there. And the scripture states it says, including great multitudes were gathered together unto him. It was gathered together unto Yahushua, so that he went into a ship. He went into a ship and sat. And the whole multitude stood on the shore. So same thing, we gathered today, and the ship is a temple. In the storehouse, we need to know the exact meaning of what a storehouse is. And I'm going to share that with you even as we go through this teaching. So we need to know what the storehouse actually is. And he sat there, but the multitude stood on the shore. In making sure we clearly understand what the shore actually is, what the shore is. Shore, and when you look at Paleo Hebrew, it always tells you that, and it mentions it quite a few times, but the shore is a border or a plumb line. So when you take that, we got to take that and look at it spiritually, because if a shore, the same thing, if you had a seashore, it's a plumb line. If you continually move forward, you're going to the water. If you continue to move backwards, you'll move away from the water, because that's a shore, that's a border, that's a plumb line. So what it's actually trying to help us out with. As we move forward with this, we go down to verse 3. And we're going to find out some more things about this, because Yahushua is going to start speaking, which is actually Christ, who's actually going to be doing all the talking. And he says right here, including he spake many things unto them in parables. In parables. You see how he's doing it? In parables. This merchant man. In what he was doing, we got to remember when he's going to tell you about this merchant man that he wants you to understand. He says, remember, a sower went forth to sow. So we want to make sure we clearly get what's going on there. So he went forth to sow. This merchant man went forth to sow. Sow is talking about to plant and scatter, because that's what they do. They plant and scatter seeds. That's technically what they do. To sow. And it's telling you right there. We got to get all these things, and we're going to put all these things in our basket, because it's going to start focusing in a little bit on Leah and Rachel, and we need to make sure we clearly get what's going on. And it says, when he sowed, some seeds fell by the wayside. So when he planted and scattered some of these seeds, and we'll see where it's in, fell by the wayside. Those seeds. Why? You look over here, I want to show you something in Luke chapter 8 and verse 11. Because when he spoke in parables, he's telling you what the seed was. It says, actually, let me highlight that. And it's telling you, the parable is this. The seed is the word of God. Some of the word of God fell by the wayside on some people. It's right there. Right there in front of us. But we need to understand the parable. That's the key to all things. And I want to make sure that we clearly get a couple of things that make sure we all understand each other. And we got to really remember that this parable, these seeds, it comes with 12 different types of fruit. 12 different types of fruit. You can actually see it in Scripture. I want you to study it and find out where it is. These 12 types of fruits. So we need to understand those. Those fruits. Those fruits is telling you about works. So we're here and we got to figure out something. We got to figure out something that's really close and really good for understanding. Because I want you to make sure you clearly hear what's coming out of my mouth. So we're here now to, you either going to figure me, Elder Michael Johnson, you either going to see me as a false prophet of God. Either that, as a false prophet of God, as being his mouthpiece, or you're going to see me as being an actually servant of God. That's what you're going to find out. Clear. You find this also, we'll look at this in Numbers chapter 12, verse 6. And we have to do this because we got to make sure we're clear on a lot of things as we move forward. It says this, and it's tucked away in chapter 12 and verse 6 in Numbers. And he said, "Hear now my words." And this is Jehovah speaking. This is Christ speaking. He said, "You hear my words. If providing there be a prophet among you, if there be one among you, I, the Spirit of God, will make myself known unto him in a vision." I'm going to make myself known unto him in a vision, meaning he's going to make himself known in revelations and prophecies using imagery. I want to make sure we all clear here. This is how he's going to make himself known in a vision. Revelations, prophecies using imagery. He says a little bit more. I will speak unto him in a dream. And then I'm going to speak to him in a dream. And we want to be clear on that also. He's going to express, interpret, and teach. And he's going to teach them in a dream, speaking a parable or a dark saying. This is why we look at this, and we look at Isaiah chapter 28 in verse 9. That's why you look at this here, and this is why I say, you'll know who's false and who's real out there. Because in Isaiah chapter 28 verse 9, it says, whom shall he teach knowledge? Including whom shall he make understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast. It's right here in front of you. Right here in front of you. They don't have to go to commentaries. They don't have to go to Wikipedias. They don't have to go through outside doctor and documentations to try to prove a point to you based on what God said. Because God said, whom shall he teach knowledge? Whom shall he make understand doctrine? He said, I'm going to speak to them in a vision and in a dream. And that person should be able to unravel those things. It goes on more on what he's telling you here, and we'll find that out and why we have to do certain things the way we do them. And you look at Jeremiah chapter 3, but we're going to drop down. We're going to look at verse 15 and find out what is going on. In verse 15, it says this. Including I will give you pastors according to my heart, to whom he's going to teach knowledge and make understand doctrine, which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding of his doctrines and his teachings. He's telling you this all the time. So now we see why he said this. You see why he said this. In them that are tried and proven of the Spirit of God's heart, these can feed you with true knowledge and understanding of God, according to God, what he desires and what he commands. This is what we have to clearly understand. So either you can go through every teaching that I've done. You can I be either deemed a liar and a fake through my teachings. Because they're out there in their own public. They're out there to be examined. They're not out there just to look at for just to try to get something, but they're there for you to examine, to find out if I'm a fake or a liar. Am I a true servant of God or am I a fake? And it's based on my ability to show you to understand these parables that are shown to me in visions and dreams. That's what they're here for. And not just to put me on this podium to where people can examine. This is for anyone who say that they are a mouthpiece of God. Anyone. And if they can properly take you through scripture and interpret and express the dreams and visions that God has shown in his scripture, then he is deemed a false prophet. He's a liar. So we had this merchant man. And this merchant man is based in a parable. He's a sower. And he went forth to sow, and he plant and scattered. So this is what we looking at is Jacob. He sowed 12 seeds in 12 fields of this land. And he regained these 12 fields and 4 women. So we need to understand the parable that was spoken. This is what we have to understand. And this is something that many people, and I'm going to show you and express something to you today that probably 99% of you guys never heard. Never heard before. You've seen it, you read it, but you most likely never heard it before. This is what we're going to share. And I want you to understand, because Moses actually spoke the parable. He spoke the parable, and we're going to find out what this parable is. I'm going to take you to it because it's embedded in the law. We'll find this in Deuteronomy chapter 27, but we're going to go down to where it's located. Here. 27:11. Deuteronomy. Moses charged the people in the same day, saying, so he charged them. And he charged them because he wants us to remember something on what went on the first. And why he did that is what we got to remember from what happened even with Jacob, because he's the parable. Jacob is the parable. You see it here. Verse 1 of 49 of Genesis. It's there. Jacob called unto his sons and said, gather yourselves together that I may tell you which shall befall. Which shall befall. It's key here. Befall. See, it has a couple of different things that I want to make sure you understand as we move forward. Befall, spiritually saying, prophesied against you. Spiritually, that's what that actually is telling you. Actually, you want to tell you what? Let's do this real quick. Let's look at something. I want to make sure we're clear here. We're going to go to Psalms 91. We want to look at 9 and 10. I want to show you, just to show you how this actually works out. You look at 9 and 10, it says, because thou hast made the Spirit of God is my refuge. That's where your safeness is. That's where your habitation is. Even the Most High, thy habitation, you see here. And he's going to make sure it's clear here. There shall no evil be prophesied against thee. Tell you, come nigh to thy dwelling. You'll see it here again. And we can go to Daniel. You'll see it again. It's throughout Scripture, but you'll see it quite a bit. In Daniel chapter 10, and we'll look at this in 13 and 14, and you'll see it again. And And he's going to actually be more direct. And it says, but the prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me in 20 days. But lo, Michael, one of the chief priests, came to help me, and I remained with the kings of Persia. And he clarifies it here. Now I come to make thee understand what shall befall, was prophesied against thy people in the latter days. That's all he was saying. That's all he was saying. Now you can see this also when you want to look at it functionally. Functionally, you got a spiritual side, you got a functional side. The functional side is talking about the encounter or to happen. So if you want to do it on the more lighter note, on a more carnal state to get people just to understand it, it says, what shall happen or what shall encounter thy people? You can do it that way also. It sounds a little off, but it's still there. Because this is what they're going to encounter, or this is what's going to happen to thy people in the latter days. That's technically all he's saying. That's the spiritual side, but it's prophesied against you. It's prophesied. That's your spiritual understanding. And you'll see actually Sirach. We'll look at 37. And we're going to go down to verse 9. And see again. And it says, and say unto thee, thy way is good, including afterwards he stand on the other side. Actually, this actually got a lot to do with it. A lot of stuff we're getting ready to do. He said, to see what shall befall thee, what should happen to thee. What is going to happen to us? That's what I was saying. Meaning this, and we understand that now, so we got to look at what's going on here. We got to see what's going on here. Because when you look at verse 2, in Genesis 49, it says, gather yourselves together, including hear ye sons of Jacob, including hearken unto Israel your father. So you got the children of the flesh, which is according to Jacob, and they doing the works of that God hates. But the plumb line is in the midst of the children of Israel. That's where the plumb line is. And if we don't sin, we'll prosper because God is with us and he hates iniquity. He tells us these things to which we can understand it. You'll find this also out when you look at Judith. Judith chapter 5, verse 17, I believe that's the correct place. But I know that's what it's speaking of, and we'll know it. And you can see it here. It says, in lists, they sinned not before their God, they prospered. Because the God that hateth iniquity, that hateth acts of sins, was with them. This is what we look at. So it's not at what happened with Jacob, Leah and Rachel, but it's the works with the children. What you produce was flesh in the works of it. Only to come to where some of it's going to come out 100-fold, some going to come out 60-fold, some going to come out 30-fold. You fall anywhere below that, you will not come into the kingdom of God. This is clear. This is clear. We want to understand what's happening there. We want to get what is going on here. So he made this division and he separated everything here. He made everything clear here. And we want to see this. In Deuteronomy, we're going to go back over here. We're going to look at Deuteronomy a little bit closer to see what is going on. This is where everything and all the party starts. Just right here. These shall stand upon Mount Gerizim and bless the people. And when they come over Jordan, we need to really know what Jordan means. Simeon and Levi and Judah and Issachar and Joseph and Benjamin. We want to understand this. Meaning today, and it's really happening even today. Gerism, remember, gerism is the division, the cutting off. That's the division. Gerism, division and cutting off. Especially when you cross in Jordan. And especially we got to know what Jordan actually means. So we are here to be blessed. Blessed, B-L-E-S-S. I want to make sure, all this stuff we got to make sure we're clearly getting what's going on here. Is giving understanding and to learn. That's what that actually means. You're here to give understanding. That's why gerism, to give understanding and to learn the people. Meaning he's going to teach them. Simeon stood on the side of gerism. That's really weird, ain't it? To bless. But you got to remember, Reuben stood on the side of Ebo, which is called a heap of confusion, heaps of ruin. That's interesting. The reason that's so interesting because we got to remember what God hates. That's why the plumb line is there. Remember, Joseph was hated even by all his brothers. Actually, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you that because that's going to help me do something else. I'm going to show you something here. We're going to go to Genesis chapter 37. We're going to look at verse 3. We're just going to read through most of it, but I just want to get you to understand what's going on with him. And it says, now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children because he was the son of his old age. And he made him a coat of many colors. He's telling you right up front what he did. And you're going to see something with Joseph. Joseph was a unique guy. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him. They hated him just because Jacob loved him more. Including could not speak peaceably unto him. So anytime they talked to him, it was always hostile. Anytime they talked to Joseph, it was always in a hostile manner. It was never in a friendly manner. But here's the problem what it talks about. Here's our issue right here. And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it to his brother, and they hated him yet the more. Why? Because Joseph was telling them about dreams, and it was always beneficial. In some reason, he was always on top, and they hated this man more. And he gonna tell them about some of the dreams, and you gonna see where he gonna expound on us some of the details of some of those dreams. And he said unto them, here, I pray you this dream which I have dreamed. He's gonna tell the dream. For remember, we, all me and you, all of us, were binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaves arose, including also stood upright. And remember, your sheaves stood around about and made abstinence to my sheep. They bowed down to his. That's what he's telling you. So, you don't think they ain't gonna like that? No, they can't stand him for behind that. But he goes on more. He don't stop there. He keep telling you more stuff. He goes on, it says, including his brother said unto him, should thou indeed reign over us? Yeah, he ended up doing that. Or shall thou indeed have dominion over this? Yeah, he had that too. Including they hated him yet the more for his dreams, including for his words. It was a dream. They hate him over a dream. We hate people for less than that. I want you to keep that in mind. Verse 9. He dreamed yet another dream. These dreams are just coming. And he told it to his brother. He said, remember, I dreamed a dream more. And remember the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made abstinence to me. And you know, he done got highly upset. Now this is how this goes. These problems going to happen. because he's telling them these dreams, and it's ticking them off because it's always putting them in a servant position. This is what they don't like. And he told it to his father and to his brother, and his father rebuked him and said unto him, what is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother, including thy brethren, indeed bow down ourselves to thee, to the earth? But it's going to tell you something. It's telling you something right here. Jacob ain't crazy. See, and his brother envied him. So they envied him for it, but you see the full stop with the semicolon. But his father observed the same. He said, this dude, I think this dude on to something. I think this dude he got the dream, but when I'm looking around, I don't know what's going on. I don't know, why Most High, he gave him that dream, and then I'm going to show up and I'm going to be bowing down. Okay, something's up. But we got to remember this about our brother. Leviticus chapter 19, we'll see this in verse 17. It says, thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart. You shouldn't hate him. This even takes you back to camps. Do you see them on street corners? Telling them how Esau is a white man, but they'll tell you how much they hate him. It's crazy. But it tells you right here, how can you hate your brother? Because you can't. Because it says, thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor, nor suffer sin upon him. You can't be having no evil thoughts on what you want to do to him. But I want you to think about this as we on Mount Gerizim. Some of us is on Mount Gerizim. Some of us is on the other side. Some of us is on Mount Ebal. And if you're on Mount Ebal, you need to cross to the other side. I want you to keep all this in mind. We're going to go back over there. And when you come, and if you're going to come over there, this is our problem. This is what we really want you to pay attention to. Why we got to figure this out and what we're going to get into with Leah. What we're going to get into with Rachel. This is our problem. Because he told us this. He made sure this was clear to us. Yahushua, he says, take nothing for your journey. Don't you take nothing. Absolutely nothing for your journey. If you're on Mount Ebal, don't you take nothing for that journey. You want to come to the other side. Neither staves, meaning no weapons. Why are you going to take a weapon? No scripts. So you send. So you can't bring no traveling bag. Neither bread. Your own truth and your own understanding. Don't you bring that crap over there. Elder Jenkins was talking about that today. Right there in the back. Right there in the Bible study this morning. Don't you bring that crap over there. But a lot of us will. Neither money, neither having two coats apiece. You having two different types of doctrine, having two coverings. It's telling us right there. You want to come to this side, don't you come with this crap. So we get to this and we finding out. And the crazy part is the Levites, I'm telling you, the Levites, which are actually telling you what mean to join and will speak, and they're going to express and interpret everything for you. They're going to do it. So what's the meaning of the actual thing that went on? That's what we got to see. Because it's telling us right here, when you look at this, and it's telling you, you're going to see 6 of them over there: Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Joseph, Benjamin. So what do this actually breaks down to? But it tells you where we're going to find the separation with locations, teaching places. Because the entire time what I was trying to get people to see and meditate on and understand is this. Because with Simeon and Levi, who are instruments of cruelty, you are entering into their habitation. I want you to clearly get that. And you're to hear and interpret what they say. Only Judah, who is praised, is given light to where you can be like Issachar in not wearing 2 coats. And you'll comprehend. And you will be serving your Lord, your master, as a servant of prophecy. Joseph, a son of exhortation, in the like manner a real servant of Jehovah. In not being one, but you should sit there and understand what the wolves and raven wolves. Instead of that, you should be the servant of the right hand, which is actually Benjamin, where you can be wise as serpents, but you harmless as dove, with non-aggression on the other hand, which Benjamin telling you, the son of the right hand. That's Mount Gerizim. It's been saying this the entire time, right there in front of you, right in front of us, and we didn't see it. Right in front of us. But it's something interesting. It goes down a little bit more. Verse 14. Verse 13, I'm sorry. It says, including these stand upon Mount Ebal to curse. These things is curse. You have Reuben, Gad, Asher, and Zebulun, and Dan, and Naphtali. These are cursed. But what is being cursed? It's in the name. The name been there the entire time, but we never really figured out what's going on, because what we try to do is not take our time and study scripture. But we need to know what that means. What was going on with this? The curse is telling you exactly in the names. It's right there in front of us. If we would have took the time to study, to show ourselves approved, we all would have come to the same conclusion. See, we are cursed because of our good fortune, which is the Spirit of God, and we gazed at it since the beginning. See, as Reuben, a son of the Spirit, as most people think, but it's just telling you, see, a son. And then we got to look at how we'll see how God looked upon our affliction, which is telling you directly with Gad, even so fueled by our own food. We brought our own bread. We brought our own food, the same way as Asher. Asher built cities. Nineveh, Rabbah, Khalid, and Rezan. He built those cities. It told you, don't come over here with this bread, but they did. Their habitation is set out, and they built other cities, and then they exalted their dwellings, being compared to God dwellings. Places like Zebulun, and then you will be excluded from God's salvation if you promote this false information or theology among the people, as you do it just like Dan, who was booted. Some not being able to make up their own mind. Some are uncertain. They wavy as water and making unclear decisions, being in the middle, going back to and fro, neither being hot, neither cold. They'll be removed from the flesh like Naphtali. No flesh will be saved. Either you're going to mortify the flesh, you're going to come over to Mount Gerizim, or you're going to embrace the curse. It's one of the two. So this is a story that's written, and it's something, as I said, most people never heard this before because most people never put them together. But everything tells you everything you need to know is why he put them together this way. Let's understand this parable. It says, now the Levites shall speak, including say unto all men of Israel with a loud voice. So the Levites going to speak. They're going to express. They're going to interpret to all Israel with a sound, a voice, to speak in the language and the discourse, the expressions of the thoughts of the agreement and unity that's supposed to be between the children of Israel and the Spirit of God. But we're going to start with the curse side. We're going to start with the curse side because that's where he starts, and we're going to start with the curse side because he's got it right here. And we want to understand that. We want to understand it in its fullness. It says, cursed be the man that maketh any graven or molten image, and an abomination unto the Spirit of God, the work of the hand of the craftsman, including putteth it in a secret place. Actually, Elder James will talk about that again today. And all the people shall answer and say, amen. It's interesting. I'll show you why it's interesting. Because a lot of us, we like to sit there and we like to play these games. We like to play games. And you think you're playing games with people and think you're playing games with God. In Hebrews chapter 9, picking it up at verse 24, we're going to find out how many of us is sitting over there on Mount Ebal. We're going to see how many on Mount Ebal between Leah and them and what's going on. Because they're going to dive right into Leah and them in a second. It says, for Christ is not entered into holy places made with hands. Hebrews chapter 9, verse 24. Only reason I'm pausing for effect. People need to understand something. People will sit there and say they was never deceived, and they'll sit right there in the church and tell you they're not deceived. They tell you don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe, and they fell for the banana in the tailpipe. Their car can't neither go nor move. Because they'll sit there and say, I know God, and they sitting in a building where people say God is. Christ is not in the holy places made with hands, which are figures of the truth. Let me show you something now. Let's look at something. We just sit here and just, it's hard to sometimes, and really to talk to people, children of Israel. It's really hard sometimes to talk to. In Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14, picking it up at verse 8, it says, but that which is made with hands, this place people call holy, is cursed. Didn't he say it's cursed? He told you over here it's cursed. Cursed is a man that maketh any graven or molten image. He said this. He said it. You know, I never forget. Never forget. Elder Leah, when me and him be talking, he said, man, what's so bad? People go into them churches and they got the book in their hand. We all had the book in our hand. And it's telling us in Hebrews 9, Christ is not entered into holy places made with hands. And all yet, who you think built the building? He didn't. He didn't build it. Man made it. And he clarified, he said, but that which is made with hands is cursed, as well as it, as he had that made it, because he made it, and it was because being corruptible, it was called God. Tell me that's a lie. How many places called the same thing? You got the churches of Christ. Oh, this is the Church of Christ. It's a building made with hands. This is why people have a problem. This is why people have a problem with me. Because if I tell you this, they say, oh no, he's wrong, he's wrong. It's telling you in the scripture, but most people won't believe a man. Believe a man, you should go to hell. You should go to hell. He's telling us right here. It's right up in front of you. To where you can save your own life, and you more willing to follow a man to hell than to believe what you see. But he speaks more. For the ungodly, including his ungodliness, are both hateful unto God. Because the ungodly who built it in his ungodliness is what we do. They're hateful to God. They're hateful to God. That's why we're on Mount Ebal. A bunch of us is sitting over there on Mount Ebal right now. Even back right now on this channel, right now, looking at this right now, is sitting on Mount Ebal. Marginalizing in their head how they can twist some lies around and make themselves right. But it tells you, for that which is made shall be punished. Together. So the one who made it, he's going to be punished. Together with who? With him that made it. So the one who made it going to be punished, including your butt going in there. You going to be punished. You curse. God said this, and I want to make sure we're clear. We're looking at the law. We're going to go to Exodus chapter 20. And I just want to make sure we clearly, just simple understanding while we're getting into Leah and Rachel, just simple understanding what kind of rock we are. It says, thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is under the water under the earth. That meaning, if you sitting there talking about we're the temple of God and we're the bodies of God, don't you go try to build some building and say this is God. But we did it. We done it. It's hard. It's hard. I'm going to tell you something that's so crazy. See, because even to show you the stupidity that goes out there, Rachel, I just had to talk on this. I wasn't going to even touch on it, but I got to talk about Rachel for a minute. We're going to go back to it, but I just want to show you something about Rachel, because Rachel did something. And that's why I'm doing it. That's why I'm doing this one, because I just want to show you something what Rachel did. It says Laban in Genesis chapter 31, verse 19. I want you to really pay real close attention to what happened here. It says Laban went out to shear his sheep. So Laban goes out to shear sheep. And Rachel, his daughter, has stolen the images that were her father's. Those images was God's. How is she going to steal God? I'm telling you, you can't make this up because it's there. You can't make it up because it's there. Actually, go down to verse 32. We ain't going to read the whole thing, but I just want to show you the point on what, and showing you these are gods that she stole. It says, because then when Laban found out they was gone, he went out to go chase them down, because Jacob then was gone. So he go chase them down, and he gets on him and Jacob. He arguing with Jacob, and Jacob didn't care. Hey, dude, you can do what you want to do. Hey, whoever got these guys, man, you can do whatever you want. They shouldn't even live. And it's telling you right here. It's in Genesis 31:32. It says, with whomsoever thou findest thy gods. So them guys is in there, help me. But they God. How in the world they God and they got stolen? She stole his gods. See, we can't laugh too bad because a lot of it comes from Christian side. It's the same thing. It's an identical thing. So we can't sit there and rag on Laban because we were doing the same identical thing. Them guys are sitting there in a trunk. Help me, help Laban, I'm here. Come here, my servant. He caught up. They caught up. They can't do anything. But you have to sit there with the same silhouette picture you see here is us. He said, in whomsoever thou findest thy God, let him not live. Before a brethren discern thou what is in with me, and take it to thee. But it tells you, for Jacob knew not that Rachel had stolen them. She stole them guys. Y'all come here. Y'all come, shut up. And she stole them. Ain't no other way to look at this. Ain't no other way to look at this. But it's showing you those are not gods. Those are not gods. And to get more into it, we're going to look at verse 16. So, but people who goes into these buildings and they still sitting there, well, I just go to the church for it. Oh, no problem. You holding that because that church on that building is saying it is a church of God. People can sit there, well, I don't see it as that. Don't matter how you see it. You go in there, you can ask that man, what is this place? That man going to tell you this place is the house of God. And as soon as he say that's the house of God, you shouldn't be there, but you'll sit there, well, I don't see it as that. I'm just coming here to do this. Okay, for whatever you coming there for, God going to see it's the house of God, and you are going to be punished with him that made it. So these are simple facts. Because everybody always, well, I don't do it for that reason. Okay, that's cool. This is the problem that we have. And you see this in verse 16. It says, cursed be he that sitteth light by his father or his mother. We got to unpack that. We got to unpack that. Because most people really don't really understand it. But the main thing is we're here to learn and we can find out what it actually means. That's the beneficial thing that we have. Saying this, and in the one that sitteth, we want to pay attention right to this here. Sitteth. That's what you want to pay attention to. Sitteth because it's telling you to remain and to hold fast. That's what that's telling you. You're going to sitteth. You're going to remain and hold fast to light by his father or his mother. That's what that is telling you. So you're going to hold fast and remain to the understanding of your mother, your father, the understanding of the doctrines and the teachings. That's what that says. You curse. You curse. In fact, to help you out a little bit, let's go back over here to Genesis. We're going to look at something to help us all to get a better understanding. We're going to go to Genesis chapter 2 in verse 24. Well, you'll see Adam even said this out of his own mouth, even though he didn't believe it, but he said it out of his own mouth. He said, therefore shall a man, us, leave his father and mother and cleave unto his wife, meaning the spirit, including they shall be one flesh. That's what he was saying. That's what he was saying. I want you to think about that. You see this here where Abraham, he left his place. And he cleaved unto the spirit. It says in Genesis chapter 12, verse 1, it says, now the Spirit of God said unto Abram, get thee out of thy country, from thy kindred, including thy father's house, in the land which I will show thee. So the focus is, one, he wasn't going to come back there. But when Jacob do it, Jacob has to go out from his father's house. But then if he returned back in peace, and then the Spirit of God that Abraham went should be his God. let's look at something. And we're going to get better, hopefully better and better and better understanding. In Genesis chapter 28, you see it here in verse 20. It says, Jacob vowed a vow saying, providing God will be with me, including keep me in this way that I go, and give me bread to eat, because you can't take no bread on your journey. Remember that what he said over there in Luke chapter 9, verse 3. You're going to keep me in this way. You're going to give me bread to eat and raiment to put on. So now you're not going to have no covering. You're only going to have this one covering. He's been telling us this the entire time. Jacob goes on more. So that I come again to my father's house in peace. The same way that they came, I want to come. I want to come in peace. It says, then shall the Spirit of God be my God. Now he's making that clear. Then the Spirit of God should be my God. So we see where Abraham went out, Isaac went and returned the same way. And the main thing is we are not to be leaning to our own understanding in any way, shape, or form with our own bread, because that's one of the biggest problems that we have today. That's one of the biggest problems we have today. And that's why you see this over there with Leah and them, but we're going to get more into it. In John chapter 5, verse 39, Christ said this. He said, search the scriptures, full thought. Search the scriptures, for in them ye think ye have eternal life. This is what most of us think. In them we think we have eternal life. It says, including they are they which testify of me. It's telling you about him. So we have to search and testify that Jehovah is being our guide on this journey. And on this journey, we want to understand what's going on. We have to understand what's going on in this entirety. Verse 17 makes sure this is clear on over here at the mounts. It says, cursed be he that removeth his neighbor's landmark. His landmark. His plumb line. Removes his neighbor, being a fellow member, saying of a follower of Christ, or trying to seek Christ, and you don't remove this plumb line. This is what camps do. This is what Christians do. This is what these people do. They remove the plumb line. They get you to come into these buildings. They get you to do these things to where they can remove the plumb line from you. And they want you to focus on them. That's the point of that. You focus on them and you do things, and now all of a sudden you believe in a whole different doctrine. You think you got a doctrine, but you don't. In Psalms chapter 104, verse 26, it tells you, it says, there go those ships. There's that Leviathan, whom thou hast made. He made that building to play therein. He made that for that reason. And if you're being honest with yourself, really honest with yourself, you'll find out. A lot of us is trying to come over, and we got that luggage. Because in some kind of way, shape, or form, we're going to sit there. And that's why I say you have people sitting over. Actually, Elder Jenkins was, I'm talking about, he was back there beating people up back there on that teaching. Because you have people who just come just to get stuff and talk ill will of the person even bringing you a message. But they there to get the message, but they still being ill will about it. So we come to this and we looking at this. There go those ships. There's that Leviathan. He's an absolute creature that is in there. Verse 18 to tell you, cursed be he that maketh the blind to wander out of the way. And all the people should say amen. That actually, I'll tell you what, I want to ask a question. I'm going to ask you a question. Actually, we're going to remove that one. I want to remove that one. Let me remove this one. Because that ain't the one I wanted. I want to sit there and I want to ask you a question. I want to ask a question which I'm going to sit there and I want to see. I'm going to see something. Yeah. I'm going to ask this question, and I want to just see what those answers are. What we're going to say. Okay, we got that one. 1 second. I might have one more option. Oh, 1 second. Ever been okay? Now, I'm gonna put this up there for about 2 or 3 minutes. I just want to see what people see here. Who deceived you? Who deceived you? So what we're looking at here is we want to see what deceived you. We have the Christian church, camps, never been deceived. But who deceived you? The Christian church, the camps, or you never been deceived? And we don't need this. If you can't vote, don't put it down in the chat area. I don't know why people keep doing that. You can easily put it in the chat in the voting area. And we have most people still saying that the Christian church is the one that did it. We only have 7% that so far the camps did it. We have 93% where churches, these Christian churches have done this. And we're going to let this go for about another minute, and that's about it. We have some people where they saying I don't know why they keep still putting in stuff in there. We're not trying to sit there and we're not looking for people to put it in the chat. Now, I don't know why we keep getting that. We want people to put it in this voting area. It's a simple thing. Just put it in the vote, and that's it. We don't need to see it in the chat. Who deceived you? Was it the Christian church, the camp, or you never been deceived? So I'm going to end it. We got quite a few people. We got more than half the people that voted. So we're going to give you people about 30 seconds. If you haven't voted, you got a chance to vote. Can't nobody see what you did anyway, so it doesn't matter. But you can see where you are. You can see where you are. So we're going to end this chat. We're going to end this poll. And I want you to look at something, and it's telling you how dangerous the Christian churches are. 92%. 92%. That is a large number. That is a large number. 6% by camps. And the reason why I asked that question, is this. We're gonna see something and understand more so. See, because everybody been deceived by something. Everybody has been deceived, one way, shape, or another. The scriptures. We'll see this it's buried away in Wisdom of Solomon chapter 14. In verse 21. In the same one, that the one that's 92, you can say 93% because I'm part of that side too. So don't put me, I couldn't vote, but just, so it's 93% because I'm included on the Christian church. I'm included on that. So let's look at this in Wisdom of Solomon chapter 14, but we're going to look at verse 21. We're going to look at 21. We want to see what's going on there. And see what's going to go on there. We're going to get 21. I want to highlight that. And it's saying it right here. It says, and this was the occasion to deceive the world. For many serving either calamity or tranity did describe unto stones and stocks and the uncommutable name. The reason that is there is once we understand what those two words are saying, we can relate to it. Once we know what those two words, the calamity and tranity, once we understand those two words, we can understand what it was saying. Because when you look at the Christian church, I want you to pay attention to what's going on. Calamity is plagues and afflictions, and they can place burdens on you in different ways, but that's not part of the burden part. It's plagues and afflictions. So when people are trying to be saved in certain ways, they'll run to those churches, and then you have in men. Actually, I'm going to tell you what, I have him up, and I'm gonna speed him up. I'm gonna show you something so you can see it. I want you to see this video on how people, through these plagues, and how they can get out these burdens and stuff. I'm gonna show you this. I want to show you a video. We're getting ready to show it right now.
God's will for us has always been to be in health and to prosper. And He's using the miracle spring water to do just that.
And I sent for the miracle spring water, and I want to let you know that God gave me a $50,000 debt cancellation.
I was delivered from all different type, high blood pressure, fibromyalgia, you name it, God delivered me from it. Get the spring water, it really works.
The doctors had given her up for dead, and her husband brought her the miracle spring water.
And my husband brought the spring water up, and I drank it. And I'm speaking today. I had no speech, totally paralyzed, and now I'm testifying that through the miracle of God and your ministry.
Listen, she had no speech. She's speaking today. Free, no obligation. Take a moment to jot down the number on your screen and call now. I'll send you your miracle spring water absolutely free without any obligation. You're next in line for a miracle.
You see here where that's what people believe. That's what they believe. And all you have to do is come into this oppression. That's all they have to do is do these things there. And Trinity is you're looking at oppressions and burdens that happen. And this is not the only, this is just one guy we pulled up, but this is what happens. This is what happens here. To where they can make you serve either a rock, a wood, a man, beast, or anything in between. This is all they have to do. This is all they have to do to get people to do it. And this is the problem. people have. This is the problem most people always will have. And to make sure we really getting this clearly, I'm going to show you even more so when we go into 1 Timothy chapter 1 in verse 6. We're going to get there and look at this in verse 6. And this is the problem right there. It says, from which some having swerved have turned aside unto vain janglings. This is how they did it. Vain janglings. And we want to understand what janglings actually is. Janglings is talking about words of wilderness. Words of wilderness. Fruitless is what that is. It's fruitless. And but we turn to it. We can't say we didn't because we turned to it. The problem also with that is desiring to be teachers of the law, understanding neither what they say nor what they affirm. They can't do neither one. Neither one. They're doing fruitless teachings. Fruitless. You can go in any building and they will teach you fruitless teachings. They're going to make you worship that man one way, shape, form, or another. He's a man of God. He's this, he's that, he's this, he's that. Besides sitting there saying what you need to do to get to the kingdom of God. But it gets better. It tells you right there in verse 8. It says, but we know that the law is good, providing a man use it lawfully. Providing a man use it lawfully. Meaning you use it as a training tool to similar tools of unrighteousness. Those are training tools, and it actually tells you about it right here. And when you look at verse 9, it says, knowing this, that the law is not made for a righteous man. It's a similitude to understand what unrighteousness is. That's what it's for. It's all right there in front of us. You can even look at something. I'm gonna show you something even more so here. We're gonna pick up verse 19, but before we grab verse 19, you'll see how the law is actually done. How the law is actually done, because it tells us, it says, for the ungodly, for the sinner, for the unholy, the profane, the murderers of mothers and manslayers, whoremongers, for them that defile themselves with mankind, men stealers, liars, for perjured persons, if there be any other thing that is contrary to sound doctrine. But we'll sit there and go somewhere else, because we have tickling ears and we'll swerve from the truth. We'll swerve from the truth. And the same thing I was talking with one of the elders the other day, and we can look at the analytics on here, and I can see the analytics also on a couple other platforms. And I was sharing with him. I said, you know what's interesting? That our algorithm in our analytics has changed quite a bit to where it's more than 75% of the people that actually frequents this channel and get information. They when people put in their information on how they get on YouTube and different things, it shows people above the 55 age, the 60 age on above. We actually 76% over in that category. And our category below that is where then it goes into the 50s and stuff like that. Those are in the lower category. And then when they get to the teen age, it's in a real low category. It's real low. And I told him, I say, now I actually pride myself. And I'm being upfront. I pride myself when I seen that. Not being, doing something, but the main thing is you look at them as fish, because they're fish. And you catch a lot of fish that's 10 to 15 to 20. They what? Most of them you have to throw them back. They're not even legal. You have to throw them back. Fishing. Catch it, now throw it back. It's not even knowing nothing. Then you're going to catch something that's mid-size. 23 to 40 inches. So you look at him as in inches. Yeah, he's cool. Some of them you might want, some of them you might still throw back. Throw them back. But then them big boys, your 60s, your 70s, your 80s, them the ones that been around in the sea for a while. And they don't fall for any type of bait. They don't look at just any bait. Because they done seen all types of bait. They done tasted baits and might have made their own baits. But they understand bait. And we are anglers where we have 76% more of them than anybody else on our channel. Those are the hardest ones to catch. People can say what they want. Those are the hardest ones to catch. So we look at that and they can understand when something's coming. They can understand if shadiness is coming or somebody is crooked. They done seen it all. So the same thing as what Dan did, and it tells you right there in verse 19. It says, "Cursed be he that perverteth the judgment, the doctrines and teachers of the strangers, fatherless and widow." All the people should say amen. Did Dan pervert judgment? Actually, I'm going to show it to you. I want you to see what Dan how Dan got kicked out. And I'm going to show you how he going to get kicked out. It was prophesied, then he got kicked out. I want to show you that one. In Genesis 49, and we're going to look at verse 16. Right here. Dan shall judge, he shall teach his people, comparing one of the tribes there. He coming with his own doctrine. That's Dan. And he perverts the judgment. The same as many people do today. The same as many people do that today. They pervert judgment. They pervert the doctrines and teachings of God. They put their own little twist in there. Verse 17, Dan shall be a serpent. I'm telling you, you can't get around this. He going to be a serpent, meaning he going to be a creature of confusion. It's right there. It's right in front of you. He said he's going to be a serpent, by the way, in order, meaning what? A false prophet. It's all embedded in there. He's going to be a false prophet. If the doctrine heals, it's right there in front of you. Can't get around this. And the rider should fall backwards. That is interesting. And it goes on more while we're sitting over there on Mount Ebal. We still on Mount Ebal. It says, "Cursed be he that lieth with his father's wife." I don't know what to say. But he says more here. It gets more to, I can show you a lot more of what we get into. That lies with his father's wife. Because he uncovered his father's skirt, and all the people should say amen. Why do you think Reuben was on that side? Why do you think Reuben was on that side? See, they speaking and expressing what's going on. But the problem is, why do you think Reuben was on the other side? And actually to bring it more, and when he's talking about his wife, and it's talking about a bearer of fruits, he uncovered that skirt. Reuben. In the wife is the bearer of fruit, the uncovereth is the revealer of truth. That's why it's saying that. And it's in the skirt, the covering. That's what he did. He clearly did this. In fact, you look at verse 21. You see something even more. It says, he that lieth with any manner of beast, and all the people should say amen. I want to show you something. I was going to show that up earlier, and I couldn't get to it in time, but I'm going to sit there and see if I can put something in there. Because what people do, and I want to show you something. I want to make sure we're clear here. I want to make sure we're clear on this. Because people do this, and they think it's cute. They really do. People think it's cute because people will lay with animals in all kind of ways. They think it's the cutest thing in the world. I want to show you something. I want to make sure we get this. See, people sit there and see this is lying with animals. Not just having sexual encounters, but just lying with them as if they are a person. People do this, and they think it's cute. They think it's the cutest thing in the world. That's confusion. 100% confusion. 100% confusion. And you will put your child in these places and think nothing about it. Think nothing about this stuff. But people will sit there and they say, oh no, everything is good. That's our pet. We treat him like a human being. We treat a pet like a human being. And this is what we do. These are things that we do. We don't think nothing more about it. We don't see nothing wrong with it. We hold to it. And these are the people that sit there and all hell gonna break loose. This makes absolutely no sense. No sense whatsoever. We'll sit there and we'll lie and we'll treat these animals as if they are a human. We'll treat these animals as if they are one of us. Think nothing more about it. We'll sit there, we want our cats in the bed, we want our dogs in the bed. He's telling us right up front, cursed be he that lieth with any manner of beast. Not just talking about men that is evil or women that is evil. Talking about this right here. And we think it's cute. You have people that say, well, it's okay for my dog to get in there. With dog, it's okay. Yeah, it is okay. Just don't think you're going to be in the kingdom. It's no reason for you to be in the kingdom. You have confusion. That dog now thinks, same thing if a woman comes into this man's house. That dog going to truly see something wrong. Because that's his side of the bed. That's confusion. That is 100% confusion. And people get upset when they see things and they, oh, I don't like him talking. If you got a dog in your bed, and that dog might be sitting in your bed while you're in another room, you, yourself, is of confusion. If that dog is on the couch and you on another couch, you are of confusion. These things doesn't matter who you are. You are of confusion if you do them. We are to sit there to stay out of confusion, period. But people say, oh no, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, okay. Why you think most times when the opposite sex come there to visit their boyfriend or their girlfriend, all of a sudden the dog have an issue with the boyfriend or girlfriend? You have confusion. Because the dog think that, who are you? But it gets better. It gets better. It says, cursed is he that lieth with his sister, the daughter of his father, the daughter of his mother. All the people should say amen. People say, well, that's going kicking boots and all this stuff, having intimate. No, that's not what they're saying. The same thing is, if you have a sister and a brother, they're to lay in two different beds. Period. That's confusion. 100% confusion. If you have your sister lying in the bed with your brother and they growing up and they laying in the same identical bed, that is 100% confusion. I don't see nothing wrong. Yeah, you don't see nothing wrong. Then don't see nothing wrong with it. Just stay on the side of, just stay on Mount Ebal side. Don't bring none of your understanding. Don't bring none of your thoughts. Don't bring none of what you want to sit there to see. Well, to me, it says this. Whatever you saying to you, keep it over there. Because he ain't talking about having sex. You can see that right there. He's saying lieth. You just lying there. He don't say lying there, mankind as with womankind. He ain't saying. He said no, just lie there. You just lying with your sister. Demonic things can start coming up in your mind. That's why he's telling you that. And we good for being dogs. So that's why he compares us to a dog. Let's look at verse 23. It says, cursed be he that lieth with his mother-in-law. That's sickness. They should be 100% destroyed. 100% should be destroyed. These things people do, and they keep thinking that they okay to do. Oh, well, my mother-in-law, oh, she's hot. She's this, and you lie down with her, kick it with her, and watching TV, laying down with her like you lie down with your wife. You lay in your wife's lap, looking at TV. Your wife come home, you laying in your mother-in-law lap, looking at TV. That's confusion. Lying in the bed with your wife watching something. She come home, you lying in the bed with your mother-in-law watching something. This is just straight sickness. It's straight sickness. But it gets better. Cursed be he that smiteth his neighbor secretly. This is rampant. This, you'll stay on the other side. The same you're doing to your neighbor, your fellow servants. You are smiteth, meaning you wound or strike them, to injure them even physically or publicly. And you would do it secretly, trying to be sneaky about it, real sneaky about it. That's why I say secretly. You're going to do it privately. Some people want to inject venom on somebody else to where you can have someone to strike or wound somebody else secretly. and you sitting back, and you was the cause of everything, you won't be in the kingdom. These people, they like to get into, oh, this is that, this person is this person is that. They get into a whole lot of stuff they don't even know nothing about. But they inject venom. Once they inject that venom, all of a sudden, they sit there and say, I don't know why they did that. Yeah, you know why. You know why. But those things happen. Those things happen. You will be on Mount Ebal. You are on Mount Ebal side. And it says, cursed be he that taketh the reward to slay a innocent person. To slay mean to kill or slaughter. Someone that is innocent, blameless, or was righteous. It's right there. They had nothing to do with nothing, and you're going to slay them. Nothing to do with nothing. You're on the side of Mount Ebal. You put in your mind all you want to that you're not, but you're there. Oh no, well, I'm different. No, you're there. You right there. All this junk is in your head, but you ever seen how people sit there? Well, I see it that way, but I see what you're saying, but yeah, you on Mount Ebal. You don't really know it, but you on Mount Ebal. You think you're on Mount Gerizim, but you're not. And the main thing is, he's giving you warning here. You're hearing it coming out of my mouth right now. You ain't going to get a warning over there. When you stand before him, once you finish this flesh and you still think that you done did it, when you stand before him, you're going to say, yeah, how you doing? You on Mount Ebal. You like to do things your way. This is why I said, same thing going on with Pelosi now. They made their statement. They want to go on somebody else's land, make a statement, hurry up and get out of there. All hell breaks loose, and the first thing they're gonna say is, America was right. We didn't have no bit. Anyone go over there just to fight? You're ignorant. Ignorant. I tell Pelosi, you send your family over there. I tell Biden, send your family over there. I tell all those Congress people who all for that, who all went for it, tell them to send their family there to fight, including Biden. Tell them to learn how to fly a plane. Go over there and fight. Y'all was for it, go fight it. This is what goes on. You sit there and look at verse 26. Cursed be he that confirmeth not all the words of this law. This is because these are things according to your flesh. You ain't confirming them, but I agree with everything, but yeah, you ain't confirming this. You not confirming it. Well, I want to tell you what, I agree with everything that he said, but I agree to everything, but I'm telling you, we can't get around it. Same thing. Keep your butt on that side. But he says something that's really interesting. It gets over here in the verse, chapter 28. Chapter 28. He getting ready to talk about Mount Gerizim side. He getting ready to get into a whole lot of stuff over here because we want to understand something there. We want to understand something here. And he says, it shall come to pass if thou wilt hearken, thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Spirit of thy God to observe to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Spirit of thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. Boom. And he's telling us something because we're going to diligently follow the voice, meaning the speech in his language. That's what they're saying. We're going to unto the voice, unto the speech in his language. And he's going to set us, in which is this little word, right? This little 3-letter word has a lot to say with it, because he says God will set. He's going to establish thee on high. So now we got to understand something. We want to understand something. The same thing we said, bless, but you see how he carefully doing things. He's carefully wording and scripturalizing things here to where we can get them. Watch what he says here. And I'm just going to highlight the main part. See, because you see now it says blessings. It says, and all these blessings shall come upon thee and overtake thee, and thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Spirit of your God. Well, watch why he's saying it that way. Watch why he's saying it that way. Actually, won't say. Let me see. 49. Actually, we're going to go here. Go right over here by it. I want to show you something where we can put them all together. It says, and Jacob called unto his sons and said, gather yourselves together that I may tell you what shall befall, what shall encounter, what shall be prophesied unto you in the last days. Keep that in mind. Now, as you look at this, it says, in all these blessings, giving wisdom, and wisdom is given, that shall come on thee. That's going to come into the city, the villages, the walls, including the field, the pastures. That's what this is all getting into. Because watch, he's going to start saying all this stuff in 1 second. Everything that I'm saying, he's going to tell you this. So we see what the cursed blessings are. We see what the blessings going to be. And watch what he says here in verse 3. Verse 3, he tells us that. He says, bless. Wisdom is given. So blessings, the giver of wisdom, the giver of knowledge and understanding, the blessings, and bless. And bless. So now we're looking at bless. That's what we got to actually, I might have said that wrong, because blessings is actually to make sure, giver of wisdom, giver of knowledge and understanding. That's blessings. That's right here. That's right here. But bless is actually letting you know it's giving wisdom, and wisdom is given. Make sure, because I might have said it wrong, I'm just talking. But that's what that actually means. So as we see this, we'll see this, what goes on here. It says, now, blessed shall be in thy city, and blessed shall be in thy field. So the land and the pastures. And he's making sure you ain't going to get away from this. He's making sure that. Bless, again. So blessed in verse 4, he says, blessed shall be the fruit of thy body. The fruit of thy body. He's going to be blessed. So now he's talking about giving wisdom, and wisdom is given to the fruit, to the works of the labor of your body, the ground, including the fruit of the works of the labor. And he's saying of thy cattle. Thy cattle. You see how he's saying that? The fruit of the cattle. And the increase of thy client and the flocks of thy sheep. But we're looking at the cattle. The cattle is talking about the doctrines, and you're seeing one way, but Beast Foundation is speaking about the living in people. So the fruit of that people, or the fruit of the living, including the flocks and thy sheep. It's making sure we get all this. Bless, again, wisdom is given. Shall be in thy basket, in thy store. These are key. These are key areas we need to really know. The reason why I say that is because, one, wisdom is given, and we know the basket is the parable. That's the main thing. Remember what I said earlier up front, where it was talking about, it said in that store. We're saying right here where it's talking about the store. See, blessed in thy store. That's why he's saying store, and it stopped. Just store, stopped. But we want to understand what that store means. It has a good meaning to it that we need to really understand. And foundationally, it's treasures that you seek to store up. That's what it means foundationally in a lot of ways. But spiritually, that is needed dough, prepared knowledge that's coming from God. Prepared knowledge that's coming from God. Needed like dough. To help us understand some of that, what I'm saying, so we all be on the same page again. Let's go over here to Exodus, and we're going to see there and look at chapter 16. 16, picking up at verse 15. You can get a better understanding. Get a better understanding. Verse 15. Is it verse 15? Yeah, there we go. Okay. And this is why it says that, the store. It says, when the children of Israel saw it, they said one to another, it is manna. Exactly. It's that needed dough, that prepared knowledge on what we have. And they wist not what it was. Moses said unto them, this is the bread. Exactly the point. This is the needed dough. This is the knowledge that you need, which the Spirit of God had given you to learn. He's telling us right up front. You see this again also down in verse 35. When you go down there, you'll see it again. And you'll see more so what he's talking about. It says, and the children of Israel did learn of this needed dough, this bread, 40 years, until they came to the land inhabited. They did eat, they did learn of this manna until they came into the borders of the land of Canaan, until they came to the borders. Till they came there. This is the key here. This is the key. So we understanding this and getting a better understanding of what's going on. Verse 6 is telling us even more. It says, blessed thou be when thou comest in, and blessed shall thou be when thou goest out. Exactly the point. Wisdom is given, going and coming. Wisdom is given, going, and wisdom is going, coming, any time. 7 tells us more as we look at this. And he's going to elaborate on a little bit of this, what happens here. It said, the Spirit of God will cause thy enemies to rise up against thee. See, you see what he's saying? The Spirit of God shall cause. He's going to cause thy enemies to rise up against thee to be smitten before thy face. They shall come out against thee one way. They're going to flee 450 ways, 7 ways. Meaning this, and on what he's saying here, making sure we can get it. On top of that, he's going to cause our enemies to come against us, and they're going to be smitten right before our face. But what is he saying there? They're going to be smitten. They're going to be killed, plagued, or afflicted. One of those 3. Right before our presence, right before our face. You're going to see these things happen. And they're going to flee 7 ways until completion by death, by plagues, and many ways of affliction. It's right there. It's right before us. But it gets better. It gets better. The Spirit of God shall command the blessings. And this is, I like, but I'm telling you, I really personally, as me, just me personally, I really don't comprehend how he's doing this. He's commanding blessings. I don't comprehend that. So what he's telling you right here, he's saying he's going to command blessing, the giver of wisdom and knowledge and understanding. He's going to command those spirits upon you. Watch what he said. He said, I'm going to command the blessings upon thee in thy storehouse. Comma. It's crazy. So he going to prepare the storehouse. So storehouse, when you're looking at it in the language that it's originally written in, it's telling you about a vessel prepared for knowledge. Or you can also see it as the prepared dough dwelling place. It shows that in a couple of places that way. And I didn't know why it didn't show it the other way. Because when you look at the vessel prepared for knowledge, that's what he's talking about, our bodies. That's the beautiful part about it. So when you look at this, the storehouse is telling you exactly what it wants you to do. So it says, in thy storehouses, in thy vessels prepared for knowledge. And thou sittest in thy hand, and thy power unto thee, and I bless thee in the land of the Spirit of thy God giveth thee. He's telling us right up front. And he setteth. Same thing, setteth. So he's already done. He's going to establish and confirmed in our hands, in our power. It's telling us right, all right there, in thy hand, in thy power. Including he shall bless and be given wisdom and understanding to learn the Spirit of God in the land. I'm telling you, in the land where he give us. Wherever we go, we're going to have this information. That's the beautiful part. Actually, show you something. Just thinking about it, show you something. I want you to keep this and really understand where he's coming from. So wherever we go, we have it. Wherever we go, we have it. So I'm going to show you something. We're going to go here to Jeremiah chapter 29. But I want you to invite you over to verse 4. Verse 4. To where we can get it. It's telling us here. It says, thus saith the Spirit of God of hosts, the guide of Israel, unto all that are carried away captive, whom I have caused to be carried away from Jerusalem to confusion. It's right there. It's right there. But watch what we have to do. See, we have to, even though we're there, as he's saying, the Lord shall command these blessings to come upon thy storehouse. It's going to come upon us. And he said it. He said it. He's established it already in our power. So with that being said, we go back here. We go right back here. And we see this where we carried away captives. Nothing can change. Nothing can change. It says, where you carried away captive, I will cause thee to be carried away from Jerusalem unto Babylon. You're going to go right to confusion. But we have to adapt. We have to adapt. Because he's telling us something that we got to do there. Watch what he did here. So wherever we are, we build ye houses and dwell in them and plant gardens and eat the fruit of them. You see what he's telling us? He's telling us right there. Houses, we have to have dwelling places. Build these dwelling places. Plant. Plant is talking about to prepare and strengthen. And he's talking about the gardens right up front. So these gardens is talking about nothing more than cities with people. That's why he's saying plant gardens, plant cities with people, and to where you can build these fruits, these prepared people, and strengthen them. That's why he's telling you this. It's in a parable. But he says more where it's going to get really interesting. This is right here. is where our problem is. It says, take ye wives and beget sons and daughters, and take wives for your sons, and give your daughters to husbands, that they may bear sons and daughters, that ye may be increased there and not diminished, there and not diminished, there and not dwindle away. But we come here and we mix with everybody. We come here and we mix with everybody. We don't care. We want to be among the people. We want to adapt with the people. But he told us to be there, and we do this. See, this is why Joseph said what he said, and Joseph can hold to what he holds to. I want to show you this with Joseph. I have to go to Joseph because I got to show you what Joseph did. Joseph wasn't among his brethren. He wasn't among anybody. And Joseph was successful. You see Joseph. Joseph says this, and he talks about that. He says, so now it was not you that sent me hither, because his brothers called themselves selling him into Egypt. They sold him into bondage. That's what they said. That's what they thought they did. But Joseph telling them, no, you didn't do that. Could have been a dream he already had. He just didn't share it with them. We don't know because the Bible don't tell you. But he said, so now it was not you that sent me hither, but God. And he had made me a father to Pharaoh, the king of sin, including the Lord of all his house and the ruler throughout all the land of Egypt. It's clear. We come here and become fools. Can't sit there and say it's not true, because it's true. Saying it's not true, but it's true. He was successful, and we just come here and act a plumb fool. Divesting. All this silliness. And just to touch on that divesting for a second, the same women talking about divesting is good. All they got to do, and because demographics is going to kill you. Once you get about another 20 years, and most likely he's going to make sure you're here. Then you're going to be such a minority, because now the children that you was bringing up, now they're the majority. And once they become the majority, they're not going to treat you the same, because you are one thing and they are another. Then you're going to think it's discrimination, but you're so small in number, you irrelevant at the point. You think you can bark really loud and it's not going to happen. These are things you got to keep in mind. But he's telling you why you're there. While you're there, you do something. And while you're there, this is what you do. And seek ye peace in the city, whether I have caused you to be carried away captive, including pray unto the Spirit of God for that, and for in peace thereof shall ye have peace. But we don't do that. We don't do that at all. Lord, I wish I had me a car. Lord, I wish I did this. Lord, I wish you can do this for me. Lord, I wish you can do that for me. That's what we do. But it gets better. It gets better. Verse 9. It says, the Spirit of God shall establish thee a separated people unto himself, a holy people unto himself, as he has sworn to thee. Where did he do it at? Actually, I'm going to show it to you. He already said he would do this, but most people, we don't look at what he's doing. In Exodus chapter 19, verse 5, he's telling you exactly what we need to do. Exactly what we need to do. It says, now, therefore, if you obey my voice, you see right there, indeed, in works, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. Boom. Checkmate on us. Checkmate on us. Each and every one of us should be embarrassed about this. Each and every one of us should be embarrassed about this. And it's for the word that people hate you that he speaks. And he keeps sharing this with us. He keeps sharing all these things with us. And we choose not to do that. In John chapter 5:15 and verse 18, he tell you, if the world hate you, ye know that it hated me before it hated you. If you want his life, this lifestyle people already hate it. So if you take on this lifestyle, you think you're going to change it? Oh, well, I put it on, everybody's going to like it, and then I can change a lot of people. Really? You that good? You're more better than the one that was prophesied to come. And he would just hate it more. But since it's you, now you're going to wear it and you're going to have a lifestyle, and now everybody is going to gravitate to it. Really. That's interesting. Think about what you need to overcome. When you speak, the same thing to what we do. We speak the oracles of God. The same if any man going to minister. You speak according to the ability that is given to you. Actually, Elder Jenkins brought that up today too. Don't sit there and try to teach over your ability. Don't do things in such a fashion. But remember this, never think it's such a really strange, odd, weird thing when concerning that these trials that can be fiery, and they're going to come and they're going to try you based on who you are. We have to present our bodies as living sacrifice that much more, as much as being partakers of Christ. Same as being in his sufferings. These are things we have to do because we are called to do them. Actually, he talks about this right here in verse 10. It says, and all the people of the earth shall see that thou art called, you are appointed, you are called, you are appointed by the way of the Spirit of God. You're appointed by the way of the Spirit of God. And when they figure that out, they're going to see one thing. And they shall be afraid of thee. That's interesting. That is interesting. But we got to keep pushing forward. We have to keep moving forward. See, because when you sit there and you see this, and you see Mount Gerizim, the Spirit of God, and he'll make thee plenteous in all your works. So the works of your body, the works of your cattle, living people, the works of the ground, your body, and the land of the flesh. 12, you'll lend, so lend, you'll provide. You provide to many nations, but you will not borrow from nations. Meaning you're not going to borrow from them. Let's see some of this, what I'm talking about. Let's just move down. It says, and the Spirit of God shall make thee plenteous in thy goods, and thy fruit of thy body, and the fruits of the cattle, talking about the people, the fruit of the ground, and the land which the Spirit of God has sworn unto his fathers. The Spirit of God shall open thee his good treasure, the heavens in the rain, in the land in its season, and bless all the work of thy hand, and thou shalt lend unto many nations, and thou shalt not borrow. You should not borrow. You're not going to borrow anything. Meaning counseling, or you're going to try to adapt to a way that they do. When you come to this side, don't bring nothing with you. That's what he's talking about. Not just in money, but you're not going to borrow. You're not going, oh, that's a good idea. Oh, you want to tell you what? That's cool. That's cool. But we can apply that to it. That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. That's not it. That is not it. But he says more here. He says, and I will make thee the head and not the tail. And thou shalt be above, and thou shalt be above only. And thou shalt not be beneath. If thou hearken unto the commandments of the Spirit of thy God, which I command thee this day, and observe to do them. Something we can do. So it goes back. It takes us right back to Leah. Leah had Zipporah. Zipporah was a secondary wife or a fruit bearer to Jacob. Had two sons, Gad and Asher. You go see where they're positioned on Mount Gerizim. And see, do they need to cross from one side to another, or are they good on the same side? No reason to borrow anything as would happen with Leah. There was no reason to do that. He was already making her plenteous. So we got to remember these things, and if we don't do it, we can get cursed. Because here in this world, in good fortune, according to the flesh that is here, many of us will continue to be as unstable as water. And that unstableness is in our knowledge. And that's the ways of God. Asher, on the other hand, he's filled with joy and happiness, and he left the habitation and went to build his own great city called Nineveh. Ramah and Caleb. And he started kneading his own dough. As he kneading his dough, he's doing what he feels he can do. And it's equal to God. But at the end, he feels you can go to God. So do Asher need to cross to the other side? That's something for you to think about. We need to understand and need to seek where we have to constantly cultivate time and time again. When you put it in the ground, you put seed in the ground, we have to cultivate that dirt and care for it and take care of it and nurture it as it comes up. He did that with Joseph. And no matter where Joseph was planted, he was a true servant of Jehovah. Exactly what his name is. The one of prophecy, so like Joseph, the son of exhortation. This one made God increase. On top of that, he received a double portion. It was Joseph. So as we look back at this and get some understanding here, we want to see this in a little bit closer and better light. Back in Matthew chapter 13, we're going to look at verse 3 and we're going to read down. It says, many things were spoken in parables, saying, remember the sower went out to sow, forth to sow. And when he sowed, some seeds fell by the wayside, and fowls came and devoured them up. That's what happened. But you got to remember one thing and never forget. It's going to tell you what happens to a lot of things and what's going to happen to a lot of us. Some fall by stony places where it has not much earth, and went forth and sprung up because it had no depth of the earth. And when the sun was up, when the light hit it, it was scorched. This is going to happen to a lot of us. I'm not here to sugarcoat anything for anybody. I'm just more real about things because I'm not sitting here to say, oh yeah, we all going to, no, that's not the truth. Then I'm pumping you a lie. if you not seeking the kingdom, you're wasting your time over here. You 100% wasting your time. The desires on why he had to cultivate and work on that so much is because of the way that Rachel was. Leah was hated of the world. Rachel was loved of the world. But what was planted, which was according to the flesh, and it had the desires, he had to sit there, he had to cultivate and work with that seed. And that seed, at the end, pleased God. So when you look at that, and you look at both the sister and the two sisters, you remember this. And hopefully you understand the parable that I just put forth to you. In Romans chapter 8 and verse 24. It tells us right here. For we are saved by hope. But hope that is seen. For what a man seeth, why hope for it? He didn't see what he thought he saw in Leah. Everything that he was looking for and everything that he wanted was in Leah, but he thought he seen it in Rachel. I'm unraveling some of this for you for a reason, but you have to understand the parable. You understand the parable, you understand what happened. So hopefully with that, we got some understanding there on this journey that is on from Leah and Rachel. It's very important. If you see it, why hope for it? You want the things that is unseen. Many people are not going to understand what I just said. I get it. But with that, hopefully that each and every one of you guys can, we're getting ready to do a study in the back where I did ask the question last week, and we actually going to go in the back and we actually going to address it. And one of them was, did Yahweh Jesus heal anything? And that's what we're going to go back there and we're going to deal with. So if you go down, you look in the description, you'll see a Bible study link. Going into the Zoom classroom, you can click on that link and you can come in the back. If you don't have your camera on, please don't waste your time. We're tired of going through that, and I'm actually pretty tired of keep telling people the same thing. Turn your camera on, turn your camera on. So if you have it off, you have a strong possibility I'm not going to say anything, just remove you. Because we keep asking the same identical thing. And it makes no sense. So we're going to ask that question in the Bible study in the back. And I do want to thank each and every person that has joined over here. We got a lot of new people that's coming over here from a lot of different places. And we thank each and every one of you guys. And I ask that each and every one, we have a lot of new things coming up. We have a lot of new formats coming up. So we ask that each and every person, make sure if you try to get in, you can send those emails out. We have some people in the back where we address some of those emails while we're in the back before we actually get started in the Bible study, and then we can move forward. So with that, I say to each and every person, until next time, hopefully that we continually move forward in all that we need to be done for the work of the Lord, that we can be one of the ones that he's looking for in these last days. So with that, I say to each and every person, enjoy the rest of your day. But until next time, I say shalom.